When the music's over, when the music's over here, when the music's over, turn up the lights, turn up the lights, turn up the lights.
Hey out there. This is Friday the 13th, 2016, May 2016, and it's just a little before 9:30 in the morning here in Northern California. And as you could see earlier on the footage, I showed the sky here today, and it's full of chemtrails and super annoying. Even the eagles seem to be avoiding the air today. But us humans aren't so smart, you know. Like these GMO products that where they grow the pesticide into the seed itself, and it's become systemic into the plant, and the insects have the wherewithal, the instinct, not to eat the product, but humans don't have that, and we will eat the products unless we're knowledgeable about the dangers, about the poisons that lurk within. But anyhow, I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about that. What I wanted to get into, there's not much in the news this last week, but I did catch Obama saying in some college speech that he was commencement speech that America was better off today than it was 8 years ago, and I beg to differ. And this is largely what I wanted to get into today. I wanted to get into the entirely invented and intrinsically subjective nature of what has been done to us in America, how we're divided on purpose, and how confusion works to benefit the establishment and the supporters of the establishment, which would be your establishmentarians, the status quo, that people that want to keep things trucking along in this same trajectory, the same direction, with the wealth disparity and engraving in stone permanent underclasses and all this. But there's widespread misunderstanding, and I see it coming out of very intelligent people that I know are, at least appear to be righteous people and devoted to God, loving God. And still I see people are missing, the important issues here. And, back to Obama's speech for a minute. But, the way that you can tell if things are getting better is this. It's really simple. And it's so simple that this may be explained why so many people seem to stumble over this point and miss it. And it has to do with the value of your currency. If society is getting better, if we're on the right track and we're trending in the right direction, then your currency, the currency of your nation, let's say, that's used all over ubiquitously within your nation, that currency is the one specifically I'm talking about. That currency, if it is increasing in worth, okay, very simple to understand here, and that's relative to certain things. Do you understand? Because if we're talking about luxury items, if we're talking about the VCR, for example, your dollar has, your Federal Reserve note has increased wildly in worth relative to the VCR. On the other hand, relative to something like an essential human need, in particular, let's take housing as the quintessential, exemplification of the point I'm trying to make here. So we can live without VCRs, but we can't live without housing. That's a matter of scientific fact. That this is one of very few essential. Essential means you can't live without it. It's a basic, essential human need: water, food, and shelter. These are absolute, inarguable needs, human needs, essential human needs. So, looking at this whole thing squarely, then you ask yourself, now, why have we made anti progress? Because if it's good that your dollars are going up in worth, and that's exactly what I'm trying to convey here. I'm trying to impart to people how simple this is, and I don't want to come off arrogant. I just wish somebody else out there was talking about this stuff that had a broader audience, because it's really important stuff, and I'm not hearing it. If I did hear it, I'd stop making videos tomorrow. I really would. But it's so essential that people understand basic economic principles like free market supply and demand. Okay, that's the capital. If you're talking to a person that's, wants the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that wants, prosperity for the people, not some of the people, but understands that we can have this for all of the people, okay, then you understand that we're on the same page, that you want the same things for people. I want these things for people. And so we have a meeting of the minds. But there's a whole lot of people that don't want that. They don't want, they don't want logic, instilled into the conversation. They want to keep it all fuzzy and ubiquitous and confusing, so people are ignorant and they're disempowered, and it hurts their head to even think about these things. But it's all super, super simple. But you do have to ask, say, well, why have we made such great strides relative to the VCR, and but look at relative to housing. Look what's happened here. That your dollars have plummeted in worth relative to housing, which is an essential human need. Again, this is the one you want dirt cheap. This is the one you want to be of a nominal cost. I mean, think about it. You could purchase 5, 10, how many houses you think you can take care of, But the point is that we're going the other direction intentionally, deliberately. We don't have unsound currency for the last 53 years that I know of, since the assassination of JFK, by accident. It's not a mistake. This is on purpose. This is how they steal the wealth of the nation for generations, okay? This is how they keep people down. This is how you oppress people. The greatest GDP America has in the 21st century now is basically oppression. That's it. I mean, that's all we have to offer is poverty through the prison industrial complex, through dubious warfare, through debt. This is our GDP. We're in debt. I mean, some estimates go as high as over $1 quadrillion in debt. What is that, $250 trillion or something? I mean, it's just madness, absolute madness, that we have, sunk this far, and people are going about their lives like everything's all right. And, I tell you, it gets hard for me. Looking at things squarely and feeling isolated. I feel alone often. I feel like not enough people really understand the big picture and what it's going to take to solve our problems. And then I feel like, it's like you're an alien. And that's not a good feeling. You've got something good, because knowledge is good, truth is good, understanding is good, that you want to get over to people, and you want other people to start talking about these things, about the worth of your currency, okay, the cost of living. Why is a cola justified? See, that word justification is not subjective. It's based on a reason. There's a basis for why you have a cost of living adjustment. And we could say, yeah, well, if we give cost of living adjustments to everybody, minimum wage workers, that's going to cause inflation. And that's absurd on its face if you understand that it's a cause and effect kind of thing. That if you don't like to give cost of living adjustments, if you're an employer, you don't like giving raises, especially mandated by law, then at least don't blame the worker. He's just trying to stay in place and just keep a relative standard of living and not go under, not need to go on welfare or something. Okay, it used to be in America we were so egalitarian that anybody that had a job, a minimum wage job, could take care of the entire family. So look at how far we've fallen. I've got to get these things through to people so they understand these issues, and they can help me out because God is the only one that's helping me to stand. I tell you, I could not stand. This morning I felt weak and feeble, and I feel hated. I feel the hatred from the establishment that hates me for coming out and talking about truth in a logical way that maybe a lot of people can embrace, in some kind of a cogent and coherent way where, I can transfer, pass along, impart this information, convey it to people in a way that's so childlike simple that we all start getting it. Because that's what I really want. I want people to wake up to their own power. For example, landlords are really in the power position now in California. And they've taken away rent control. So if anybody thought, well, that was good because that was a protection, and that's not free market capitalism when when the government puts these protections like rent control in place, that's price rigging, that's price fixing. And then you ask them, well, how would you like it if are you on municipal water? How would you like it if that was the case where it was all privately owned and you weren't in on it? And you were kept out of the market. The stocks went so high in water that you couldn't even afford to buy half a stock in it. So you were stuck having to pay whatever they told you had to pay for your water. And if they said it's going to cost you $50 this month to take a shower, well, I guess you'd be stuck doing it. You could try to find some ulterior way, but if everybody owned it all and they all were in a special interest group of the water owners and they could manipulate your price. Do you understand where I'm going with this? So before you poo-poo regulations that protect average people, I mean, these are not bad things. This is not a subjective discussion I'm having. This is an object. The object is to help people to understand what I'm talking about here. You need protection. What good is a government at all if it isn't protecting the people's rights, inherent rights? Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make here. So you think it's good that you have, the commission, the energy commission or the water board where you can complain in your local city council and control water locally. Well, look at housing here in California. So they've eviscerated rent control. It's all but vanished. Landlords willy-nilly do what they want, jack up people's rents 20, 30% in a shot. Say, I don't care, man, so leave. I got plenty of yuppies. I'm in the Silicon Valley in this region, man. I can get all kinds of techie trendies in here at the drop of a hat, man. They're making 100 grand plus a year, a lot of these people. They can pay the rent. They can't afford to buy their own pad in the area that they work. But, they're good with paying the landlord whatever he says, 2, 3, 4,000, whatever they can get, before people figure out how wrong this is. This is so freaking